The slam dunk contest was once the crown jewel of All-Star Weekend. Jordan from the free throw line, Dominique powering through the rim, Vince Carter hanging his elbow from the rim and leaving the whole arena in shock. These were the kinds of performances that shaped basketball culture. Now, in 2025, the contest feels different. The dunks are still there, the lights are still bright, and the crowd still cheers. But the names at center stage aren't the ones everyone comes to see. The biggest stars in the NBA avoid it completely. Why? What changed? The story isn't just about players deciding they're too cool or being afraid to lose. The real answer is more complicated. The dunk contest used to be a proving ground for the league's elite. Today it's closer to a sideshow. To figure out why, we need to go back to when the event mattered most. The years when stars didn't hesitate, when the contest carried weight, and when one performance could elevate a career overnight. And before we dive in, hit that like and subscribe so this video doesn't get skipped like LeBron in every dunk contest. The dunk contest made its NBA debut in 1984 in Denver, and from the very beginning it carried weight. This wasn't a gimmick. It was a stage designed for the league's most electrifying athletes to show off skills you didn't always see in regular season games. Julius Erving brought his ABA creativity. Dominique Wilkins brought raw, violent power. The event had credibility because the men competing were already giants in the game. Fans didn't just want to watch, they felt like they had to. Then came 1988 in Chicago, a showdown etched in basketball history. Michael Jordan versus Dominique Wilkins. It wasn't marketed as a rivalry, but it became one instantly. Dominique threw down rim-shaking windmills that made the floor tremble. Jordan answered with smooth elevation and grace, each dunk building anticipation until he finally soared from the free throw line. That dunk was more than just 2 points. It became an image plastered on posters and etched into NBA mythology. With the bar set this high, could the contest ever keep its magic going, or was a decline inevitable? By the year 2000, the contest needed a jolt. Vince Carter delivered something far beyond that. He opened with a 360 windmill that seemed to defy physics. He followed it with a lob between the legs that sent shockwaves through the arena. And then came the elbow dunk, his arms stuck inside the rim, hanging as if gravity had frozen. The crowd exploded. Teammates lost their minds. Shaquille O'Neal, filming with a camcorder on the sideline, stared in disbelief. That night in Oakland, Vince Carter not only won, he transformed the dunk contest into a global spectacle. A few years later, in 2008, Dwight Howard added a different kind of flair. Wearing a Superman cape, he tossed the ball high, took flight from well beyond the restricted area, and hammered it through. It was playful, yes, but it worked because Dwight was an MVP candidate, a true superstar. When he leaned into entertainment, fans embraced it because he had already earned their respect on the court. The formula seemed unshakable. When the league's brightest stars entered, fans cared. The dunks mattered because the players mattered. But here's where the hook lies. What happens when the brightest names stop showing up? What happens when the very thing that gave the dunk contest its power, the presence of legends, begins to fade? The turning point came in the late 2000s. Fans begged LeBron James to enter. He was the most athletic player in the league, and everyone wanted to see what he could do on that stage. In 2009, he teased it by saying, "I'm going to be in the 2010 dunk contest." Excitement spread instantly, but when the time came, he backed out. Later, he admitted, "It's over with. I'm not doing it." That single choice set the tone. If the league's biggest star could skip it without hurting his reputation, others would feel comfortable doing the same. Kobe Bryant had won the dunk contest in 1997 as a rookie. Fans assumed he'd return, but he never did. Years later, he explained it. Once you win it, what's the point of doing it again? You just open yourself up to losing. Kobe's answer made sense, but it also revealed how the contest had shifted from an opportunity to a potential trap. By the 2010s, the lineups looked different. Sure, there were spectacular moments. Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon in 2016 delivered one of the most unforgettable battles ever. Gordon leaping over the mascot and dunking under both legs. LaVine floating from the free throw line for a windmill. The quality was high, but the star power wasn't. Neither player was an MVP candidate or the face of the league. And when the stars left, gimmicks started filling the gap. JaVale McGee once rolled out 2 baskets and dunked on both at the same time. Gerald Green famously blew out a candle on a cupcake sitting on the rim. Nate Robinson kept dragging Superman capes and kryptonite props into his duels with Dwight Howard. Even Paul George once dunked in the dark with the arena lights turned off. These moments were creative, but they also made the contest feel more like a circus act than a battle of pure dunking skill. That realization hit fans hard. The dunk contest no longer had Jordan, Dominique, or Vince types headlining it. Instead, it leaned on athletic role players, props, and stunts to hold attention. The aura wasn't the same. So what really changed? Why were stars walking away from something that used to make careers? The answer lies in how the modern NBA operates. There are 4 major reasons today's stars don't touch the dunk contest. Injury risk. Ja Morant is a perfect example. He has the balance to light up any contest, but when asked, he said flatly, "I ain't doing it." He knew the risk. One awkward landing could derail a season and cost both him and his team dearly. For players whose careers are worth hundreds of millions, a February exhibition is too dangerous. No real reward. Prize money has stayed at $100,000. That matters to a rookie or a fringe guy, but for a superstar making $40 million a year, it's meaningless. Back in the 80s and 90s, the glory itself mattered. Today, dunk contest trophies don't move the needle for a player's legacy. Zion Williamson made it clear in 2023 when he said, "I've got to do my body justice. I've got to make sure I'm healthy." For him and others like him, the cost simply outweighs the gain. Social media pressure. This didn't exist in Jordan's day. In 1990, a botched dunk was embarrassing for a few minutes. In 2025, it can be potentially clipped, memed, and replayed forever. Blake Griffin said after his 2011 win, "You don't want to be that guy who misses 3 dunks in a row. Now with Twitter, it lives forever." For players carefully protecting their brand, the risk of humiliation is greater than the reward of success. Load management era. Today's NBA places a premium on health and recovery. Stars already get criticized for missing regular season games. Why add an extra night of maximum effort dunks on top of that? Kawhi Leonard, for example, has never entertained the idea because his focus is entirely on being ready for May and June, not putting on a show in February. All of these factors combined create a situation where stars have little incentive to participate. And when the biggest names walk away, the contest becomes something entirely different. By 2023, the dunk contest was hanging by a thread. Ratings had dropped, fans were tuning out, and even legends like Shaq were calling it dead. The event felt more like an obligation than a highlight of All-Star Weekend. Then, Mac McClung showed up. At 6'2", on a 2-way contract from the Philadelphia 76ers, McClung wasn't even a rotation player in the NBA. To casual fans, he was almost anonymous, but when he stepped onto that stage, he transformed the entire energy of the building. His opening dunk, a reverse double pump, made the crowd sit up. Then he followed it with a smooth 540-degree spin that had the judges jumping out of their seats. The best part? He landed every dunk on the first try, with no wasted attempts to kill the momentum. The scoreboard lit up with 50s, and Kenny Smith yelled, "It's over," echoing Vince Carter from 2 decades earlier. For one night, the dunk contest had life again. Clips went viral. The internet buzzed. McClung turned a fading event into a trending topic, showing that the contest could still deliver joy and creativity. But that moment also said something else. Fans couldn't ignore that it took a G League player to breathe life back into the event. The absence of Ja Morant, Zion Williamson, and Anthony Edwards loomed large. McClung's brilliance reminded everyone what was missing: the superstars. Mac gave us the spark, so why are the league's brightest stars still sitting it out? The dunk contest has always mirrored the culture of the NBA. In the 80s and 90s, it was a stage where pride and competition mattered. Michael Jordan and Dominique Wilkins weren't just showing off, they were battling for supremacy, proving who could own the moment under the brightest lights. Vince Carter, years later, elevated it into an art form, not because he had to, but because putting on that kind of show meant something to his generation of players. Today, the contest tells a very different story. Modern stars see themselves not only as athletes, but as long-term investments. They're worth hundreds of millions to their franchises and to global sponsors. Every decision, whether to play in a summer exhibition, how many games to sit for rest, or whether to join the dunk contest, is weighed against the potential risks. That type of calculation didn't exist in the same way for players in past eras. LeBron James summed it up when asked why he never entered. His response? "I do my dunk contest every night in games." And he's not wrong. In 2025, a Ja Morant poster dunk over a 7-footer in the middle of a game will trend faster than anything he could do in a Saturday night exhibition. The internet delivers that rush instantly without the structure or pressure of a contest. But in the process, something has disappeared. Fans no longer see the best players willingly risk failure in front of the world. That vulnerability, the idea that even legends could miss, could stumble, could look human, was part of the magic. The dunk contest still has value. It gives rising names and fringe players a chance to etch themselves into history, and it produces the occasional viral highlight. But it no longer carries weight for the league's biggest stars. What was once a stage for icons has shifted into a platform for specialists, a reflection of how the NBA has changed. Which leaves us with the real debate. Should the NBA force its best back into the spotlight? The dunk contest isn't dead, but it's no longer what it used to be. Superstars don't see it as essential. Their goals are championships, MVP trophies, long-term health, and building global brands. An All-Star Weekend dunk contest just doesn't fit into that equation anymore. But should the NBA try to fix it? What if the league offered $5 million, winner take all? Would that be enough to bring Ja Morant or Zion Williamson into the fold? Would Anthony Edwards jump at the chance if the stakes were higher? Or is it time to accept the contest for what it has become? A fun showcase for players outside the spotlight, where guys like Mac McClung can create unforgettable moments of their own. Because while the dunk contest may never give us another Jordan versus Dominique duel, it will always deliver moments worth talking about. The real question is whether fans are ready to embrace its new identity, or whether they'll always long for the days when the league's brightest stars took center stage. I'll see you on the next one.